Hello everyone, my name's Gordatados, and I'm playing Magium Chapter 4 today. I played Life is Strange again, and 0 of the audio was recorded. Next time I record, I'm just going to go through all of it again, and get back to where I was so I can record it again. So in the meantime, I'm just going to do this so I can put something up, because I haven't put anything up in like a week. And my hair is gray, because I dyed it like a dark blue-black, and washed it like a couple of times, and it's washing out into the blonde, which makes it gray. So I look like an old lady. Here's Magium Chapter 4. Darren and I resumed our guard duty, posting ourselves in front of the cave's entrance. As we stand guard, we start discussing about the tournament and its organization, as we've seen thus far. I just can't understand it, Darren tells me. What are the organizers thinking? They're letting people without any trace of magic join this contest, and they don't even bother to enforce a rule that prohibits fighting before they announce the objectives. It's like they don't even care about all the lives that are at stake. I don't think they do, I tell Darren. Do you remember what they made us agree to before joining the tournament? Whoever wins this championship will be obligated to come to Varathia's aid in case of an outside invasion. People only agreed to it because there hasn't been an attempt in invading Varathia in thousands of years, but I don't think that's the point. They just want the most powerful mage in the world to serve as their own personal scarecrow. They probably only care about whoever's going to win. But even so, if their goal is to get their hands on a powerful mage, why have they still not announced the objectives? Wouldn't it be in their best interest to get this tournament finished as quickly as possible? Maybe there are no objectives. Maybe they encountered some unexpected technical difficulties. Maybe they're waiting for our numbers to decrease. Maybe they weren't expecting such a high number of participants, and they're waiting for us to kill each other while we wait for the objectives. Well, if that's their plan, then it's working magnificently for them. I just hope you're wrong about this. Before we get to continue our conversation, we sense someone approaching our location. Kate's barrier spell must have worn off. Keep your guard up, Barry. As this person approaches, we can sense his magical aura more clearly. His magical aura is just as weak as that of the crossbowman before. Is this a survivor from our last battle, looking to avenge his fallen comrades? When he gets within visual range of us, we discover that he is rather young for a warrior. He isn't wearing any protective gear. He seems to be somewhere in his late teens, but no older than 20. He's wearing loose pants and a loose tunic, not much different from clothes one would normally change into before going to bed. The fact that he's walking with his eyes closed and his hands in his pockets is not really helping his case either. He looks like he just got out of bed to get a midnight snack, and definitely not like a participant in a life-and-death tournament. However, he can't be one of the locals either, since we would have been immediately notified to not harm him. "Good morrow, lad," Darren shouts after the boy. "Lovely day for a walk, isn't it? What business have you with us? If you're lost, we'd be more than happy to give you directions." With Darren, it's hard to tell when he's being sarcastic or sincere, since there are no hints in his look or his tone of voice. And as I've known him thus far, he'd been capable of either of these things in the situation. Our young visitor doesn't seem to take offense to Darren's with his eyes closed. "There's no need," the boy answers. "I was looking for some old friends of mine when I sensed there was a fellow Stillwater nearby. So I just had to stop by and say hello. There's so few of us nowadays that it would be a shame to not at least greet each other in passing. My name's Eden. Nice to meet you." My whole body freezes for a second. An actual Stillwater? Here. No, I should calm down. It's likely just some other guy who came up with the idea to scare me. I refuse to fall to my own trick. Seeing that I don't say anything, Darren replies in my stead. "Don't mind him. Barry's a little shy. I'm sure he's also pleased to make your acquaintance. My name's Darren." "Oh, then you must be the healer in armor I've been hearing so much about. And it seems you also have a third member in your party, a survivor of the Beacon of Hope, no less. I did not know any of them were still alive." "What's the Beacon of Hope? Why is she a survivor? Did the Beacon of Hope burn down?" "Why is she a survivor? Did the Beacon of Hope burn down?" "Burn down? Well, I suppose it must have been burnt down after all these years. But that's not why I said she's a survivor. I'm not going to spoil the surprise for you, though. Why don't you ask her yourself when she wakes up, my Stillwater friend?" "I'm going to stop you right there, Eden," Darren interrupts. "I don't think it's necessary to carry on with this charade anymore. You and I both know Barry is an ordinary human and not Stillwater." "What? You told him the truth?" Eden asked me. "I honestly did not think you managed to make it this far without bluffing. I must admit, and I'm impressed. This Stillwater bluff isn't going to get you very far, you know," Darren continues. "Especially since you're blind. Who ever heard of a blind Stillwater?" What makes you think I'm blind?" "You've been keeping your eyes closed ever since we first saw you." "Oh, this? I can actually see just fine. I first closed my eyes long ago when I got tired of seeing the ugliness of humanity. I mostly open my eyes in completely unpopulated areas nowadays." My magical sense is more than adequate replacement for my eyesight. I can feel every creature and every object's magical aura, which tells me where they are. I get the added benefit of not falling prey to illusion spells. I don't need any extra sense to constantly remind me of why I despise humans so much. Aren't you a little young to be worrying about humanity's sins? Or is this some sort of phase you're going through in order to get your parents to notice you? Eden smiles. You of all people should know better, healer in armor. Surely you must have seen the world's suffering and injustice throughout your travels. The anguish, the agony. You've seen them all over and over. Tell me, healer, you've spent a lifetime trying to right the wrongs others have made. Do you feel like the world has become a better place because of it? Just because there's a lot of evil left in the world doesn't mean there's no good worth fighting for. As long as I don't give up, I will find a way. Eden's smile widens, but his eyes remain closed. Oh, so you're an idealist then. But tell me, hero, what happens when your pure ideals clash with the cold, hard truth of reality? Suddenly, Darren falls flat on his chest, and I can tell he's being pressed against the ground by a very powerful force. What happens when you meet a force so great that it simply squashes you against the ground as if you were an insect? The ground intensifies so much that it made a large Darren-shaped hole in the hard rock soil beneath him. He could no longer hold back the pain and started screaming in agony. I realize my hands have gone cold and my whole body is shaking. I need to pull myself back together. If I screw this up, we'll all get slaughtered. Let him go, I tell Eden, trying to sound as confident as possible. You want to save your friend, Barry? Then how about you make an even trade? Your life for his. I promise I'll leave your friend alone if you give your life for him. What do you say? Accept the trade or propose a different trade? How about a different trade? How about another trade? What do you have in mind? When we first met, you said you were looking for some friends. If you let us live, we can deliver a message for you in case we find these friends of yours before you do. So you're saying your friend's life is only worth delivering a message? It is to you. I think you've already made it abundantly clear that human life holds no value to you. That means it should be all the same to you if you let us live or not. But let us live and you will get your message delivered. How's that for an even trade? Eden laughs and the force pushing Darren against the ground gets weaker. When you put it like that, I suppose you have a point. Very well then, your life's for a message. He stops for a bit to think before he continues. The friends I'm looking for always wear dark blue robes. On their chests they should have brooches that picture a hawk holding the sun in its talons. If you're to meet any people that fit this description, just tell them Eden sends them this message. Remember the still winter. And if they ask me what that means, they won't. No matter who you meet, as long as they fit this description I gave you, they'll understand the message perfectly. Okay, then, consider it done. Perfect. Eden releases Darren from his spell and turns to leave. I won't let you leave this place, Darren says as he slowly gets back up. Surely, you must be kidding, Eden tells him. If I let you go now, you'll only hurt more innocent people. I'll stop you, no matter the cost. See, now that puts me in a difficult position, since I've already made an even trade with Barry over there. I can't just kill you now, since it would violate the terms of our agreement. Silence. Darren rushes toward the Stillwater and slashes fiercely towards his neck. Eden dodges effortlessly, and Darren quickly goes for a second strike, this time meant to cut him in half. Eden steps casually to the side, making it look like child's play. After a few more wasted strikes on Darren's part, just when it looked as though he might have caught the Stillwater on the wrong foot, Eden simply put his bare hand in front of his face and stopped the full blow of his force with only his index finger. No, Darren says as if he couldn't believe his eyes. I tire of this, says Eden as he makes a gesture with his other hand. In less than a second, Darren dropped to the ground like a log, his armor making a loud clink as it hit the rocky soil below. No, I shout. I only put him to sleep, the Stillwater says. He'll wake up in a few minutes. He turns to leave. Oh, and don't worry about looking for my friends. I'm sure you'll be meeting them soon enough. He smiles again, and then heads toward the woods. Darren, can you hear me? Wake up. There's no answer. Just what kind of spell did these guys use? I'm pretty sure that Darren had some really strong spells protecting him at all times. Standard sleep spells should be no more than moderate inconvenience for him. While I try to wake Darren up, I suddenly hear a very familiar voice coming from the direction in which Eden disappeared. Stillwater. That cutthroat's Dave's voice. No doubt about it. I recognize the hoarse voice and that thuggish accent anywhere. I turn around towards where the voice came from, but there's only trees. Why would Cutthroat Dave shout for me before even getting a chance to get a clear shot of my face? Then it hit me. He never got to see my whole face. I was hiding behind a tree the whole time. I rush towards the woods to confirm my suspicions. I hide behind one of the trees and take a peek. Dave has mistaken me for Eden. He's looking for revenge. He's managed to assemble a team in a short time we were apart, and they all have the Stillwater surrounded. The sad part is Dave looks like a well-bred gentleman compared to his new colleagues. Some of them look and smell like they haven't washed for months. I guess birds of a feather really do flock together. I've been looking for you, Stillwater, Dave says. I've been tracking your footsteps since yesterday. I told you we'd meet again. No one can run or hide from Cutthroat Dave. I'm afraid you're mistaken, my good man, says Eden, smiling. I'm quite sure I've never seen you before in my life. Ay, I'm sure of that, too. You needed to open your eyes in order to see me." All of Cutthroat Dave's men slowly burst into laughter at the same time. They're laughing loudly and vulgarly, probably in an attempt to intimidate their victim, just like a group of school bullies. Aiden's expression does not change, and he continues to smile pleasantly. "Don't think you can fool me by changing your voice like that. I'm too smart for that. I'd recognize the arrogant tone of yours anyway. Where's your healer friend? Did he leave you too to rot after you saved his skin?" "Are you perhaps speaking of the healer in armor? If that's the case, then he's right there past these trees." "Ha, nice Stillwater. That intimidating trick of yours isn't going to work on me twice in a row." He turned toward his esteemed colleagues. "Men, ready your swords. Pull out your knives. This is what we came for. Today we write our names in history. Today we become legends." Cutthroat Dave's men all give a roar as they raise their hands, holding their weapons in the air. Aiden's smile has widened. His expression is similar to what it was before he smashed Darren into the ground. He's enjoying this. They're going to get massacred. Good, fewer enemies for us to worry about. Or nobody deserves such a gruesome fate, not even Cutthroat Dave. Who knows what this sadistic bastard will do if I let him. Not even Cutthroat Dave deserves such a gruesome fate. At the very least, a death by my hands or Darren's would be quick and painless. I'm not completely sure about Kate, though. I step out of my tree shadow and face the Cutthroats. Dave is now shifting his gaze between me and the Stillwater, unsure what to think. Aiden's looking at me, smiling. "What's wrong, Dave? Has it really been so long you've forgotten the sound of my voice?" "No," he answers. "No, I remember your voice just fine. I hope you washed your neck while you're waiting for me, you arrogant prick." Then he points toward Eden. "Don't think I'm done with you. You'd better not leave this place until this is over." "I wouldn't dream of it," says Eden, still smiling. I rush out of the forest and head directly for Darren. The Cutthroats are right on my tail, but they make a full stop when they see I'm not alone. Darren, who's just waking up, is looking around, confused. "What happened? Where's the Stillwater?" he asks. "Forget the Stillwater. Look who came to greet us." Dave's henchmen starts talking amongst themselves. It seems they're not fully convinced they should risk going into battle against both a legendary hero and the Stillwater at the same time. I can't risk calling for Kate to help, given her current condition. It's going to be just me and Darren for the duration of this fight. I'd better put that stat device to good use. "What are you lot scared of?" Dave asks his men. "I took down the stat excuse for a hero by myself yesterday. Don't believe everything you heard on the street. His legends are just full of crap as those Stillwaters. This is the real world." "Barry," Darren says, "I know this isn't what we talked about yesterday during our strategy meeting, but I don't think I can fight all these thugs by myself, especially considering my weakness to Dave's technique. Is there any way you could join the fight? Even keeping their leader busy for a while could mean the difference between life and death. This may seem rather like a stupid question given our situation, but do you happen to have a spare dagger I could use?" Darren shakes his head in disapproval and hands me a dagger from his belt. "Really, Barry, there are dozens of daggers on the ground you could have picked on our way here. Try to take this more seriously." I'd rather try to distract Dave than fight him head on. I'm not very confident in my combat skills at this point, and I do plan to grab his attention. Watch this. I shout to Dave as loud as I can in a very pathetic and pleading voice. "Dave, please have mercy. You can do whatever you want with me. Just spare my life. Please, I beg you." "Ha ha ha ha. You won't get any mercy from me, you pathetic worm. Blame your fate for having been unlucky enough to cross paths with Cutthroat Dave. I'm going to use your entrails to decorate my cave." "Ah!" I scream like a little girl and run for the trees on the opposite side of Cutthroat. "Come back here, you cowardly dog. Men, I'll leave this beaten old relic to you. The Stillwater's mine." Darren grins at me, and he engages the thugs. I enter the shade of the forest and wait for Dave to follow me. If I play my cards right, I can use the trees as cover long enough for Darren to finish off the Cutthroats. Dave is still running toward me, but his knives have a life of their own, and they've already started scouting the forest for me. Ooh. Reflex, speed, and observation all failed. One of the knives catches me by surprise and grazes my shoulder. I try to move constantly between the trees in order to loose his flying daggers, but they're faster than me. There's 2 of them on my left, 3 on the right, or is that 4 to the right? They're so fast I can barely keep track of them. His knives have managed to corner me, and they're all now facing me menacingly, floating in the air, ready to strike. Cutthroat Dave strolls in, casually from behind a tree, with a grin as big as his face. "No use crying for mercy now, boy. Don't think I'm going to give you an easy death. My knives like to play with their prey before they finish. Say your prayers, you sniveling little git. Cutthroat Dave's going to enjoy it." Ah! A pillar of fire appears in place where Cutthroat Dave was originally standing, and his glowing gets replaced with desperate screams of agony. The fire completely ignores all the vegetation around it. When it dies out, I see that nothing remains of Cutthroat except his ashes that are now scattering in the wind. Shortly after, Eden emerges from the shadows with a usual smile on his face. It doesn't take long for me to realize who is behind the previous display of fireworks. "See, Barry, this is how you deal with a vermin infestation. Tell me, what kind of mailman dies before setting foot out of the post office?" "I have half a mind to file a complaint for your shoddy services." "I'm really sorry. I promise I'll do better next time." "That's the spirit." "Barry," I can hear Darren shout from outside the forest. A quick look outside shows me that all of Dave's henchmen have been dealt with, and Darren is now rushing towards my location. As I turn back, I find to my surprise Aiden's nowhere to be seen. He must have teleported away while I wasn't looking. Deliver the message, Barry. I could hear Aiden's voice echo from the trees around me. Do not fail me again. Okay, that's the end of chapter 4. And hopefully I can record Life is Strange again tomorrow, the part that didn't record with any audio today for some weird reason. I'm gonna have to go through that whole episode again just to get back to where I was so I can record it. I just recently found out you can't put end cards on videos of this proportion and size, like phone size, instead of like the wider normal YouTube videos. So I'll just put a link in the description for the other Magium chapters. If I can figure out how to do that, subscribe and like if you so wish. I'll see you all next time. Fare thee well.